You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte joining you live from the White House today. I have two powerhouse guests with me for the rest of the hour. Vincent Jones, he is the CEO of Beyond Impact, a nearly $100 million multi-state 501c4 progressive organization that really leverages fiscal sponsorship and grant making and convening to support progressive leaders and organizations on the front lines. Welcome back to the show, Vincent.
Thank you for having me.
And Al Reynolds, our politics and pop culture contributor. He is a professor over at Bowie State University and one of the sharpest minds that we have. It's always good to have Al Reynolds join us live on A More Perfect Union. Welcome, Al. Welcome, Al.
You know, that's why I was putting time out last week because my button was not on. I am so excited to be back. Thank you for having me, Brother Vincent. Where are you? Are you in the country?
Well, you remember last time we were here, we talked about summer vacation. I'm on that vacation for my milestone birthday, which I'm not telling you the year, and I had a computer issue. But I make sure I'm here for A More Perfect Union, and you and Dr. Nii-Quartelai.
Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you so much. There's so much news that is afoot. So let's start with the Guardian. The Guardian is out today with a deep report on ICE. Their expanding arsenal of high-tech surveillance tools. We're talking about license plate readers, facial recognition, cell phone location tracking, and social media monitoring. The headlines say we should be worried. Vincent, you work at the intersection of progressive infrastructure and movement strategy. When you see that this surveillance apparatus is expanding under this administration, what does that mean for the communities and organizations that you serve?
It means nothing good. Basically, the apparatus that they're building with the slush fund that Congress gave them is something that every American should be worried about, because they're able to synthesize data and information in ways that we never thought about before. And when they say that certain orgs are terrorists because they're participating in the democratic process, they have more tools to be able to go to your house, to your friend's house, to your mama's house, to be able to scare you and to intimidate you into not doing things. And basically, Congress has given Trump and his people the money to build their own private army that doesn't have the same kind of safeguards as the military. And we should all be really worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of people that are quite worried about it up and down, not just Pennsylvania Avenue, but across the country. Al, you bring the pop culture and political piece together so nicely in a way that we love, in a way that crystallizes so many things. There's a scene in 1984. There's a scene in so many dystopian stories where the surveillance state becomes normalized because it gets introduced slowly. And a lot of folks feel that we might be there. Are we there? Has this become normalized?
Oh, well, absolutely. So I'm a 70s baby. I grew up through that era. Big Brother's watching you, like you talked about 1984. Listen, when we talked about this before on this program, I said it then and I'm going to repeat it now. When the government builds a surveillance machine for one group, and that's what they claimed they built it for, was for one group, which was to patrol the borders. Remember, we talked about the case, I think it was in California or somewhere, or maybe in one of those borders. We can't act shocked when it starts watching everybody, okay? Let's be honest. This ISIS surveillance story is not about immigration. This is about power. You have seen multi-million dollars invested in drones, facial recognition, data brokers. Data brokers are winning contracts from the United States like hand over fist. AI. This is not about border security. This is about deportation. And it's a platform for any and everyone that they don't like. Now, history has already told us how this goes. Today, you're going to say it's for migrants. Tomorrow, you're going to say it's for protesters. The next week, you're going to say it's for journalists that don't write what you want them to write or say. The next week, you're going to find that the person who said the wrong thing will now be the target of this surveillance. For me, you can call me paranoid and I'll take it, but this is not paranoid to me. This is me recognizing that this administration has introduced to us pattern recognition, right? So I don't care what anyone says. This is not an immigration story. This is a privacy story, and it is going to bleed into a civil rights story if we don't handle it and if we don't stand up and take notice of what's really going on. This is who gets watched in America and who gets to live freely and who don't. I don't care. Anything with words surveillance and ICE in it, I'm not for it. So I'm going to repeat it for 110th time. When the government builds a surveillance machine for one group, especially during this administration, it's not for that group. It's for everybody that they don't like. So like Brother Vincent said, we definitely should be concerned.
Well, I mean, there is so much reason for concern, and also, folks are growing a little concerned about the response from leaders on the front lines. Vincent, you work with so many of these leaders in your day-to-day work. Tell us something that we don't know about just sort of the life and times of civil rights leaders, civil rights organizations on the front lines. Are folks overwhelmed, and if so, what is it that we can do as folks that are also participating in this democracy? What more can we do to be more supportive, to be more of a backbone to these civil rights leaders and civil rights organizations under enormous pressure?
That's a great question, and you started by saying, are people overwhelmed? Yes, they are. They're definitely very much overwhelmed, and that's part of the strategy. They're coming at us from every single angle, and one day it's this, the next day is that, and at the same time, after George Floyd's murder, there was a flood of money into the sector to be able to address the issues that we haven't dealt with in our country. 2-3 years later, that money is likely going away. So the organizations are facing much more of a threat. They have to do much more work. They have to fight a battle on many other fronts, but the funds to do it just aren't there. So of course, it's easy to say, find an organization that resonates with you and what you want to see and happen in the country and support it. But I think more importantly than that, or equally important as that, is to stay in the fight. Don't allow these people to make you feel like you're overwhelmed, because that's the goal. And once you feel overwhelmed, then you get out of the game, and allows them to be able to then use their technology, use the courts, use all their tools to make this country go back to the 1800s. And we don't want that.
Well, speaking of the game, there were a lot of winners and losers in yesterday's primary. Let me take this to the money story. The money story everybody's talking about the day after yesterday's primary. NBC News reporting on where AI money, pro-Israel groups, and other big spending interests, they won and lost in Tuesday's primary. Vincent, you run a major 501c4. What does it tell you? What does it tell you when AI companies and single issue PACs are now shaping Democratic primary outcomes?
That AI money is something. I was reading something about, I think like $24 million in a house race in Manhattan, and from somebody who authored a bill to try to put some parameters on AI, not to stop it, not to hinder the industry, just put some parameters. And they're trying to use the laws that the Citizens United ruling that allows corporations to have speech like a person, even though they have money like a billionaire, to be able to flood the zone. And I think we all need to really be thinking about that, because it's not just about AI, it's not just about APAC, it's really about how money impacts politics. Corporations are treated like individuals, but again, individuals don't have the resources of a corporation. So is that truly fair? Is that truly equal? Is that truly what was intended for our democracy? I go back to you asked the question before about what are our groups seeing on the ground. They are not seeing the ability to compete with $24 million. I mean, heck, there are a lot of organizations that is 5 times their entire budget. And so I don't see how we can compete with that.
Yeah. And what do you see from your vantage point, Al?
Well, my vantage point is this: AI companies aren't spending millions because they love democracy or they want to be in the political process per se. I think they're spending millions because they want to rewrite the rules. They want to rewrite the rules. They want to rewrite the Constitution. They want to change the laws. In my mind, when I think about AI money and I think about AI, this is about power. This is about money. At present time, this is about Israel. This is about Palestine. This is about progressive. This is about millionaires and whether regular voters still get the final say or whether democracy is now handed to the rich and the famous. It's how I look at it, or the people who can afford to bid on it. These primaries showed us the rich are not just buying yachts and fine arts anymore. They're buying narratives, they're buying candidates, they're buying attack ads, and they're even buying our community's Facebook ads feed. That's how I envision it. And we learned just this week from the Don Lemon interview with Elon Musk floozy that she told us that he used Facebook to rig that was an option that he had explored. So for me, it's not about democracy. This is a warning label to me. And as far as I'm concerned, what did our grandmothers used to say? The fox is trying to get in the hen house or something like that. In my opinion, this looks like the fox is also serving as security of the hen house. And those two, buddy, just don't mix, in my opinion.
I mean, if we said that, hens, blink twice if you don't feel safe, I think the hens would have some awfully dry eyes from doing a lot of blinking. Right. Because we're seeing so many of our leaders on the front line, so many of the organizations that have represented the protective armor of our democracy, at least how we've thought about it, guardians of our democracy. We have seen them overwhelmed. And when we talk about pop culture in particular, I want to stay here for a second with you, Al. Sure. There are some folks that are saying, well, where are the public figures, the people with platforms? Why aren't they doing more? Even as we sit here today, the president is a few blocks over commemorating the 250th anniversary of America. I think Vanilla Ice is with him. I think it's Vanilla Ice. Maybe not Millie Vanilli, but I think it might just be Millie.
Millie.
Right. But it ain't the same folks that were at the Obama Presidential Center opening, and I have a feeling that the administration may not be too happy about that. But talk to us. I mean, that stuff matters. Who from the entertainment world, the folks who shape culture, when they pull up to an event hosted by a public official, talk to us about why that still matters.
Well, it matters because of their touch, right? That's why it matters. But let me tell you what's scary to me to watch is publicly they move one way, but privately they are still supporting President Trump. In my personal opinion, I still have conversations with many of our community thought leaders as it relates to entertainment, right? Because entertainment, they don't have a full gauge of history. They don't have a full gauge of the Constitution. So they go based off of their lived experience and their very limited lived experience instead of the complete holistic view of America and the history of America and the history of African Americans or Black Americans in this journey, right? So for me, unfortunately, they still play a crucial role in influence because no one's reading anymore, Dr. Nii-Quartelai. No one's following the civil rights groups that's been protecting our rights for over 6 decades, right? No one's doing that. No one's putting value on those organizations that Brother Vincent run the way that they should and the way that they used to. It's all being played out and over by this super, I don't want to say conflated, but I feel like it's conflated, this noise of entertainment where people are looking to be entertained and they base their decisions, life decisions, right? Constitutional rights based off of how they feel. And that's the sad part for me that I see a great deal of in the classrooms that I teach in, which are those individuals between the ages of 18 and 23. Now, the flip side of that is entertainers are now using their influence to also, if it's something that doesn't feel right to them, to put noise around it. And when they put noise around it, they do bring awareness, which forces people to then educate themselves. So it's almost like it's a bottom up process that sometimes it works for the good and sometimes it works for the bad. As it relates to what I feel like we're going through in America right now, I think that we have to find a different mechanism of educating and teaching the individuals that rely heavily on misinformation and popular pop culture information. And I don't know what that looks like, but maybe Brother Vincent could share with us different tactics or strategies that we could use. I can use in the classroom. I can use at my church. I can use at my fraternity, because I really feel like that we as a group have to go back to how it was in civil rights times. We have to partner with these organizations, our church organizations, our fraternal organizations, our social organizations, our golf buddies. We have to come together, partner with people who know the fight so that we can fight correctly.
Well, speaking of fight, and Vincent has heard me use this reference a million times, but I go back to that scene from Black Panther when T'Challa is getting his butt whooped, and when Queen Mother yells out, "Remember who you are." And I think a part of at least my critique in this moment is perhaps the guardians of democracy have not done a good enough job telling our story, not just telling our story to our masses, but telling our story to the next generation of leadership, telling that story to leaders, learners, and listeners, if you will, everywhere. And if you don't know the story, if you can't appreciate from where you come from, if you can't appreciate that journey, if you don't know the story of that journey, then it's very easy for outsiders to distort that journey.
Absolutely.
And exploit that journey. And so that has at least got to be a part of how we reimagine the future that we deserve. When we come forward, we're talking about gay marriage, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the GOP. The GOP, there's some discussions that are happening amongst the GOP ranks, and some people are saying deuces. Some of their names, they may surprise you. They might not. We're live from the White House with Al Reynolds and Vincent Jones. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We are live from the White House, where there's a lot of activity happening here and up and down Pennsylvania Avenue. We are on the eve of what's expected to be perhaps a blockbuster day from the Supreme Court. Some pretty important decisions coming down from the Supreme Court, from birthright citizenship, the idea of who gets to belong, who gets counted as an American citizen, to TPS for Haitian folks that are here and have been here, and so many other very important decisions. But it wasn't that long ago where a lot of folks thought that a Supreme Court decision affirming same-sex marriage rights from sea to shining sea was a major turning point for the country and for political parties that had been warring on gay rights, particularly gay marriage, for some time. I want to shift to that, something that is both politically important and frankly revealing about where this Republican Party is right now. The New York Times reporting today that gay marriage is dividing Republicans again in the same week that The Guardian has said this. Marjorie Taylor Greene has joined Tucker Carlson in breaking with the Republican Party. Now, Al, let's start with you on the cultural side. The GOP spent years trying to win on trans rights as the new wedge issue. That was the win as they saw it. But now gay marriage is back on the table. What does that tell you about the internal chaos inside this Republican Party?
I mean, my gut tells me that this is not just about marriage, that this is about whether rights in America are permanent or not. We saw that with the women with Roe, right? And I think right now what we're seeing and hearing and just witnessing real time is that it depends on who's angry, who's in charge, who's organizing, and honestly, who's sitting on the Supreme Court and who has the purse strings of the Supreme Court of Justice. You know, it used to be a time, and maybe it's as I've evolved and gotten older, it used to be your rights felt permanent. Now, powerful people, including Elon Musk, decide if they want to change what was our constitutional rights or not. So I don't want to play dumb in any way. I just feel like the fight over gay rights didn't, disappear. I just feel like it kind of went into coverage. I don't know, not coverage is the wrong word. I just think it just kind of went to the garage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I it's interesting because now trans rights are the punching bag, and suddenly the whole LGBTQ conversation is back on the table. To me, Dr. Nii-Quartelai, this is what backlash looks like. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that. It does not kick the door down first in reality to me. This is just what backlash looks like to me. This is like, I don't like the trans narrative. The trans narrative is a part of the LGBTQ family. And so now, gay marriage is back under attack. And that's how I feel. That's how I think a lot of people are processing this, because when it happened over a decade ago, we were all like, finally, we all exhaled. And now people are saying, oh, you exhaled too soon, because now people don't, we know that their approval rate in 21, 22 with Republicans was at 55% on gay marriages. Now it's less than half, close to 30%. So what does that say? What does that say? And for everybody who thought visibility meant safety, let's be clear. The rainbow logo cannot protect your marriage certificate anymore in the United States of America. And to me, that is sad.
Yeah.
It's sad to me.
Yeah. I mean, and Vincent, you and I are no stranger to advancing LGBTQ equality. Long before you were CEO of Beyond Impact, long before I was sitting behind this microphone, we were in them streets. And while there were a host of issues that we knew were important to a broad cross-section of the LGBTQ community, particularly Black LGBTQ community, we knew that the right to determine what relationship we wanted to be in and what rights we wanted afforded to us, that wasn't something the government should have decided. That's something that individuals need to decide. And that is now at stake. I want to ask you, from a progressive organizing standpoint, do you treat the GOP fracture as an opportunity, or is this just one of those moments where the chaos on the right, it creates dangerous unpredictability?
I want to answer that question. I want to briefly go back to the question before the break. I think they're related. Lizzo talked about how all these big artists came out with albums that nobody knows about because the algorithm that she talked about is much different. I'm old enough to remember, I'm sure you are, Brother Al, when there were 3 stations. when the TV went off at a certain time, and
Right.
everybody got the information from the same places. So it was much easier to be able to have a shared set of facts that everybody worked from. But now the information is so fractured that it's more difficult to do that. And so when it comes to the Republican Party and what we're seeing with gay marriage, they are capitalizing off of that
Right.
because they know that even though a good number of Republicans shifted to support gay marriage, there's still a fraction of them who did not. And they can communicate to those people very directly, very loudly, all the time, and no one else will really know. But those people will know, and those small number of people can be the margin of victory in key districts. That is
Mm.
how Trump got elected. That's how, like the ad about that they used about Trump. He said about trans people. They said she cares about they them. I care about you. I never saw that ad. A lot of people that I don't never saw that ad, but the people who will be moved by it, they saw it over and over and over again. As we see here, the last thing I'll say about it, or not the last thing I'll say about it right now, is that Republicans, they have the long game. They're like that friend who remembers when you pissed them off back in 1984, and they're waiting to get their lick back. And so, like for this strategy, like for gay marriage, they realize it is still a very potent strategy, and they are just waiting to figure out a new way to roll it out. So it is something to marvel at how they have been so focused and how they really look at strategy. But we definitely need to try a different approach to be able to make sure we can preserve the right that we have won, so we don't get our eye off the ball. We don't let disinformation help them win.
Now,
Yeah.
brother, let me ask you that, and I don't mean to interrupt Dr. Nii-Quartelai, but
Yeah.
I just feel like that everybody, administration is trying to get their lick back. So if it's almost like they felt like that they had to swallow all of these things as it relates to diversity, as it relates to gay rights, as it relates to trans rights, and they have an administration that is now like when they were going through it and they didn't like it. Now the administration is saying it's okay for you to say that it's not equal for everybody. You know that all of us don't have rights. It's okay for you to say that. And because it's okay for you to say that, now we're all under attack under his regime. Am I the only one that feels this way? Because it's unsettling. At minimum, it's unsettling.
You're
But
speaking the truth.
it's something has to shift and change in all of this because it's based in hate.
Yeah.
And anything that's based in hate, if it percolates too long, it leads to nothing but disaster, right?
But I really like that point that you raised, Vincent, because I think it connects the dots between what Al is saying very well. That what do you do when everybody's not seeing the same hate in at the same time anymore, right? Where the algorithm allows folks to target different individuals on different channels, right? Unbeknownst to individuals that are subscribed to other channels, right? And so I think that requires that we all step our game up. It requires a heightened level of sophistication in terms of how we not just reach out to people, but how we stay engaged. It's not just
Yeah.
about an ad placement here or there, but it seems to be more of a surround sound game than anything else. No.
Yeah, and it also requires us to not be purists. There's some people on my side of the aisle who require people to speak things in a very specific way to be supported, and they have to agree 100%. I love my mother. I don't agree with her about everything. you know, there and why can't we be like that when we're political comrades? And so sometimes we're going to have to have a relationship with somebody who we don't agree with on these other issues, but we agree with them on this one issue if we want to be able to move the dial on that one thing. And
Mm.
that's so important for us to consider.
Yeah, and in our remaining minute here, I want to ask you, Al, about Marjorie Taylor Greene joining Tucker Carlson and breaking with the party. Al, I want your read on this. Is this a genuine ideological separation, or is this just a performance for the media ecosystem? What is it?
I truly, this is not ideological transformation. This to me is political betrayal trauma. This is you baggers over there. Keep that mess over there. Don't be trying to run out the house and come do the electric slide at our family. We're not having you. I don't care what you say. We don't want you. The monster did not leave the village. The monster just started to try to come over to our family reunion and relate to us because they got kicked out of the house. That's my opinion with them. And because let me tell you something, you're not going to see Carson, you're not going to see Tucker or Marjorie doing the electric slide anytime soon. You're also not going to see them over there yelling tax the rich. This is mega family drama, and they need to keep the family drama on that side of the aisle.
I mean, that sounds like a reality TV show made in heaven. Who knows? Maybe President Trump may produce that when he's out of office. Can you imagine that? A reality show featuring Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson?
Exactly. You can't feed folks paranoia for decades and act shocked when they stop trusting you two, Marjorie and Tucker. This is not a split. It's not a split to me.
Vincent, in about a minute, I'll give you the last word on this with a broader movement question. In this environment, we talked about surveillance expansion and the court shifting and the GOP fracturing and money flooding in from primaries. What does progressive infrastructure actually need to do right now to hold the line?
That's a really great question. I think I talked about money before. A lot of progressive organizations really rely upon one big funder, a few big donors, and when those donors either change their opinion or lose faith in the strategy, they pull their money back, and those organizations then are cash strapped. And most progressive organizations don't have large fundraising staff. They'll have one or two people who are doing all the fundraising, so they have to go for get the most bang for their buck. So I think one thing that the movement can definitely do is invest more in their capacity to raise money. So that way they can be able to do the work regardless of what changes among the wealthy elite who are funding that work now. The other thing that can happen, that needs to happen for infrastructure, is more investment in people like Lene or like Doc Discourse, or like the Dr. Nii-Quartelai, like the individuals who are able to build authentic relationships with an audience and be consistent regardless of what the issue is. Because you might be, Dr. Claude, you might be on, KBLA, Fox Soul, CNN, NBC, whatever station might be. Your audience knows who you are and what you are about, and they will listen to you and trust you. And that helps us to break the problem we have right now with the algorithm.
Well said. And look, I want to double click on that. Let's add Brother Al Reynolds to that. I mean, talk about folks who have followings. We know a little bit something about that. When we come forward, it's time for the quiet part out loud. And spoiler alert, it's some good news.
Hey.
It's some good news related to the folks on the Artemis II mission and related to Congress. Congress doing a good thing. We'll tell you all about it when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. All right, I want to end today after all of it, after the housing betrayal, after the surveillance, after the court, after the floods. I want to end with something that reminds us what human beings are capable of when we choose to reach. USA Today is reporting that Congress is moving to grant the Artemis II astronauts a rare honor, the Congressional Gold Medal. Artemis II is the mission that will send human beings around the moon for the first time in more than 50 years. And among those astronauts is Kristen Koch and Victor Glover. We love Victor Glover. Victor Glover, Black American, who will become one of the first people in human history to fly a lunar trajectory. Family, in a week where so much has felt like a fight for the ground beneath our feet, I want us to hold that. A Black man going to the moon. Congress, even this Congress, pausing to say this is worth honoring. We can hold two things at once: righteous anger at everything broken and real reverence for everything being built. Gentlemen, final thoughts. What are you carrying with you out of today's show? Vincent?
I am carrying, well, I'm carrying a lot of things, but one of the things about being overwhelmed and how I know a lot of the listeners are overwhelmed. And I was really thinking about how can we help people to be able to fight that urge, because we need people to stay in the fight in order for us to be able to fight back. My one suggestion for that is just to find that one issue you care about, find that one organization that you feel is moving that issue forward, and get involved, stay connected, and don't give up.
Thank you, Vincent. Brother Al,
Yes.
what are you carrying? What are you carrying with you?
I'm carrying with me what Brother Vincent said. Find that issue, stay connected. But the thing about this astronaut story that I love the most, which should resonate with everybody, is that representation matters, right? Representation matters. Look at the symbolism of who was on this in this astronaut NASA thing. It was a woman. It was a Black astronaut. It was a Canadian astronaut. So to me, representation matters. And this mission literally shows what humanity looks like when the future is not reserved for just a certain type of person, which don't look like people of color or that don't look like the typical white American.
You better say that. You better say that. We love it. We love it. We love it. To everyone who listened today in your car, at your desk, on your phone, picking up the kids, thank you. You chose to be informed. You chose to be engaged. You chose to show up for your community, even on a hard news day, especially on a hard news day. Hello. We'll be back tomorrow right here from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, follow our podcast, subscribe, share, tell everybody. And remember, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, coming to you live from the White House, along with my friends, Vincent Jones of Beyond Impact, and Al Reynolds, one of our favorite politics and pop culture contributors, also a professor, very respected professor over at Bowie State University. Thank you both for being so generous with your insights. We love you, and we love to hear it.